share some of your journal entries. So, any volunteers?
Share them where?
Share it with the class.
Oh.
All right, Brian.
Okay. Boom, boom, boom. I can hear the loud scream of doom. Boom, boom, boom. I see a cloud in the shape of a mushroom. Boom, boom, boom. The disaster can't be cleaned with a broom.
I like it. Good job.
I know.
All right, Randy.
Do I have to? It's
Oh,
like, it doesn't make sense. I try to make it rhyme, so it's just like a bunch of random words.
It's all right. It's creative.
As the waves touch the sand, on its way to meet my hand, seagulls coo, splash, splash, splash. They nearly whiplash for food until their last splash.
Oh, that was really good. Yes, snap your fingers. Good job. All right, Zach, let's hear yours.
Beep, beep, beep goes the alarm clock in the morning. Buzz, buzz, buzz screams the alarm. Oh, how the dreadful sound triggers my morning. Beep, 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 it's time to face the day. Buzz, 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 can I just sleep the day away?
Good. One more.
Okay. Click, 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 vroom, vroom. I can see the toy cars and ponies all over the room. Vroom, vroom, click, click. Knowing little sounds is this babysitter's trick.
Very good. Good job. Cozy, you did good. Exactly.
It's not like a nursery rhyme.
You did. Okay. Turn to the class notes section of your binder and title a sheet of paper, alliteration. We are going to look at alliteration in the term of through Poe's poem, The Bells. And because you can't write in your book, I've copied the poem for you. So I'm going to pass these out. And while I'm doing that, who can tell me what, just from previous classes in middle school, what is alliteration?
It's a repetition of the beginning of words, right?
The repetition of the beginning of words? The first letter?
Oh yeah, first letter.
Consonant sounds, good. The repetition of the initial consonant sound. You probably use repetition, and you see it a lot in poetry, but you also see it in not just in poetry, but in other writings, creative writing, and essays as well. So, our goal for today is just to identify the use of alliteration in Poe's poem, The Bells, and there's a lot. As you said, it is the repetition of the initial consonant sound. I want you to know that it's also the focus today is on it being a sound device, and also that it can be a rhetorical strategy, and that's more for the essay writing, which we'll get into later. The cousin of alliteration is consonants. Does anybody know what that is? We're going to learn about that next week.
Consonants? Isn't that like the non-vowels?
It is. It's different than alliteration because it's not just the initial sound, but it's like the sounds within a word of the consonants that are the same. Assonance, on the other hand, is where the vowels sound the same. And you see that in Poe's poem too, like molten, golden has the same O sound. But that's next week. But anyway, so we're focusing just on alliteration. The Common Core standard that goes along with this lesson is determine the meaning of words or phrases as they're used in the text, including figurative and connotative meanings. Analyze the cumulative impact of specific word choices on meaning and tone. So anyway, how does this evoke a certain sense of time, of pace? Does it set a formal or informal tone? And really with the term, when we think of it in terms of alliteration, again, it's just focusing on it being a sound. So how does that impact the message of the poem? How does that make it more melodic? You heard two audio versions of Poe's poem yesterday. One was like the three people saying it. And what did you come away with from that? What was different about theirs, and then the second interpretation?
Second, I have one notion.
Okay, good. The second one definitely showed the change in tone of each stanza because it was extremely dramatic. But the first one, not. Okay, so the definition of alliteration, you've already been able to tell me. Traditional tongue twisters. What's the irony there?
Alliteration.
Yes.
Seesaw.
T, right? You remember like Sally
Seesaw.
Sells?
Seashells.
Yes.
Like seashells.
Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. Do you remember those? So you see all the P sounds. Let me show you a quick video on alliteration. Is that still going? Is it still recording?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
To another English language session with me, Terry Green, looking at alliteration. As we start to look at the English language, we come across lots of complicated words that have very simple meanings. Here, we're going to look at alliteration. Alliteration is when lots of the words in a sentence start with the same sound. You will find alliteration in poetry or stories. It is used to add life to the story or to draw your attention to certain words. Let's look at some examples. Frank fought Fred ferociously. Tracy's trolley trundled towards trouble. Gary got Grant's gold guaranteed. Be aware that the words don't need to be next to each other in a sentence. There can just be many words in a sentence that start with the same sound. Terry ticked up the table during the terrible tussle. And remember, it's the sound at the start of the word, not the letter. For example, Phil phoned from France to fill Frank in on the football. So, alliteration is when lots of words in the sentence start with the same sound. Remember to regularly recall this relevant report. Thanks for listening.
All right, two things from there that I'd like for you to write down is that one, alliteration does not have to be two words side by side. There can be words in between those two words, and that's how you're going to see it presented in poetry most of the time. So they don't have to be side by side. Secondly, it doesn't have to be the same letter. And I think that's a mistake that we often make because we see two F's and we underline both of them. But they may be, the sounds may be, well, an S is probably always going to be the same. It's not a great example. But sometimes it sounds like an S and a C might be different, right? C can make a K sound, but it can also make a what? Sound. So you have to see what it is in the word. Also, so it could be like football and phone both make a sound. So you would count that as alliteration, even though one starts with the F and one starts with the PH. Any questions on that? All right, one more. This is like an extreme version of alliteration. So write down the words, the sound that is repeated. You can, thank you.
I can assure you I mean no harm.
Who are you?
Who is but the form following the function of what, and what I am is a man in a mask.
I can see that.
Of course you can. I'm not questioning your powers of observation. I'm merely remarking upon the paradox of asking a masked man who he is.
Oh, right.
But on this most auspicious of nights, permit me then, in lieu of the more commonplace sobriquet, to suggest the character of this dramatis persona. Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the vox populi, now vacant and vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin, vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violently vicious and voracious violation of felicity. Held as a votive, not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
Okay. So a little extreme, what sound was repeated? Right, the V sound, and then moving backwards from the clip, what other sounds did you see repeated?
Walk. Walk.
Okay, the wa, any others?
Oh, just a little bit.
The M, good, good. I think that was it. I think those were it. Okay. Another example of alliteration. Caitlin, can you read this out loud?
The art of alliteration allows all authors to perfect the concept of poetry and prose. Writers make their witty, wonderful words into words, sparkling square words spun by specialized specimens, attempt, tease, and craft their intended words.
What letters do you see, or sorry, not letters, sounds you see repeated in the first line? Ah, right? The letter A making the ah sound. And notice it's none of them are a long A, they're all the short A, so you could underline every A. What about in the second line, Taylor? Right, making the sound. What, and you see an imperfect, punch, poetry, and prose. Now the third line, Connor, what sound is repeated, and then tell me what words go with the alliteration.
The W sound.
So what words?
Weave witty, wonderful words and webs.
Great, why didn't you say writers?
Because that doesn't make the W sound.
Good, because so just be careful because that's tricky. You did a good job. You're not underlining just because writers is not making the same sound as the other W words. The fourth line, Randy.
Sparkling stylized spun by specialized specimens.
So the sound.
Oh, the sound.
The S. The S, right. We'll just the initial consonant sound, even though they're all SP there too. And, what about in the last line, Katie?
Do you want me to read it or just tell you?
You can read it.
To tempt, tease, and trap their intended targets. The T sound.
Right. T. In what words?
To tempt, tease, trap, and target.
Good. And there, first of all, it doesn't make a tough sound. But also, when you see those words like there and that, those are really key words. They're pronouns. So we're not going to underline. We're only looking for key words to be for alliteration. So, what sound devices came from bells? Tell me one.
Repetition.
Repetition. What's another one? Anybody?
Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia. What was another one?
Rhyme.
Rhyme. And now?
Alliteration.
Alliteration. Good. So let's look at this poem together. I'll kind of go through the first stanza. You have the colored pencil that I gave you. You're going to be marking on this paper as we go. So I'm going to do the first stanza and kind of show you how to find alliteration through poetry. We'll do the second stanza together. The third stanza you're going to do independently and then kind of compare with a partner. And then the fourth stanza you're going to complete for homework tonight and bring with you, well, I don't see you tomorrow, so bring with you on Thursday. It'll be due the beginning of class Thursday.
Can we just use highlighters?
You may use highlighters if you prefer, but for today in class, use the colored pencil. But for stanza 4, that could be your choice. Okay. Can you all see on your paper? Is it too dark? Okay. In poetry, do I stop at the end of a line? Where am I going to stop?
At punctuation.
I'm going to look at punctuation. Sometimes that's a little bit tricky when looking at alliteration because he'll have several lines with a comma and it may be 6 or 8 lines. Well, I'm obviously, if there's a T word on line 1 and a T on line 8, that's not considered alliteration, right? So while there can be words in between, you don't want it so far away that otherwise it doesn't have that sound. Again, it's a sound device. So if I'm looking at this first one, I would read it. Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells. Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells. What a world of merriment their melody foretells. What a world of merriment their melody foretells. How they tinkle, tinkle, tinkle in the icy air of night. Okay, here's repetition. In an icy, this is an I sound, and this is an I sound, so that's not alliteration. While the stars that oversprinkle all the heavens seem to twinkle with a crystalline delight. While the stars that oversprinkle all the heavens seem. What about the two S's here? I'm going to read it. While the stars that oversprinkle all the heavens seem to twinkle. Can I consider that alliteration?
No.
Why or why not?
Seem isn't really a keyword.
Okay, seem may not be a key word. Stars that seem, it's while the stars that oversprinkle all the heavens seem to twinkle.
Is it that it's not on the right, like the right beat or like a certain spot in the sentence?
It's not, I mean, these are easy ones to tell, right? This one, all the stars that oversprinkle, all the heavens seem to twinkle. I don't know, what do you think?
It sounds like.
Could be. Let's put a little question mark here and we'll come back to that phrase. Because I want to go on to the next part. Oops, let me erase the board. Keeping time, here's my repetition again, in a sort of runic rhyme, to the tintinnabulation that so musically wells. This typically isn't considered a key word too, but because it's starting with the line, to the tintinnabulation, that's a sound device that so musically wells from the bells, 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 there's my repetition, from the jingling and the twinkling of the bells. Before we go to stanza 2, let's go back to that stars and scene. Raise your hand if you would classify this as alliteration, if you think it has that sound. 1. Right, how many of you say no, probably not? All right, and Connor, tell me why you don't think it would be.
Well, they don't sound completely alike, and also they're pretty far apart, and it's not something you'd be able to identify without looking at the words and just hearing it out loud. You wouldn't say, oh, that's alliteration when you hear, while the stars that oversprinkle, all the heavens seem to twinkle. You wouldn't think of the relationship between stars and scene. So.
That's good, that's a great explanation. I can have words between my alliteration, right? But it's still got to be that fluency off the tongue, and I don't really see that here. In fact, if this were 2 words, stars that oversprinkle, then I would consider that, wouldn't you? Because I still hear that sound, even though it's not the initial consonant sound. Oops. All right. Okay. Stanza 2. Let's kind of go through this one together. Let's see. I'm not calling on it. Morgan, can you read the first line for us?
Hear the mellow wedding bells.
All the way to
Little bells.
any alliteration there that you find?
No.
No. All right, Morgan, what about the next line?
What a world of happiness the harmony foretells. What a world.
Okay, so What a world,
Happiness and harmony.
right, happiness and harmony, good. And then the last line,
Through the balmy air of night, how they ring out their delight.
anything there?
Through a day, or is it too far apart?
No.
The day and there,
These are the ones I was telling you, these are these key words. No, these are pronouns, so we're not gonna, they don't count. Alright, so good. So just this world of, what a world, and happiness and harmony. Alright. Spencer, take this one for us.
From the molten golden notes and in tune what a liquid ditty floats to the turtle dove that listens while she gloats on the wing.
Okay? Any alliteration that you see going on through these lines?
No.
the turtle dove.
Good, yes. Again, it's starting with this sentence, to the turtle dove. So I hear that there. What about the L sound? Yeah, don't you hear that too? What a liquid ditty flows to the turtle dove that listens.
It's probably too far apart.
It's a little questionable.
Couldn't tune go with Pluto?
And in a tune, what a liquid ditty flows to the turtle dove. Maybe. This pause here, I'm probably gonna not think so, because tune is a rhyming word that goes with moon, right? Alright. And this last line, Spencer.
Oh, from out the sounding cells, what a gush of youth and voluminous dwells.
And what do you see there? How do you see it?
Sounding cells.
Is it O and L? Cells?
Good touchdown. It's sounding and cells. Even though two different letters, the same sound, correct? Ryan, is that still recording?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Alright. So good job, Tatiana. Props to that one. That's one that people miss because again, we always just tend to look at the letter, especially when you're going fast, and try to find these. So make sure you read it out loud to yourself because that helps. Alright. And, Nikki.
Okay.
So read it out loud for us first.
How it swells, how it dwells on the future, how it tells of the rapture that impels to the swinging and the ringing of the bells, 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 of the bells, 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 bells. Oh, to the rhyming and the chiming of the bells.
Alright, good. So first two lines, do we see anything? No. Just rhyming words. How it tells of the rapture that impels, these rhyme, to the swinging and the ringing of the bells. Any alliteration that you see in this stanza?
No.
No. Just repetition here for sure, if you wanted to mark that with the word bells. What about rapture and ringing? Yay or nay?
No.
Too far
There's
apart.
a rapture that impels to the swinging and the ringing.
It doesn't sound like it goes.
Right, exactly. So you're listening for it. Good. Okay. What I'd like for you to do is read stanza 3 on your own. Use your colored pencil and underline alliteration as you find it, just for stanza 3. And then I'll stop you in just a second and we'll partner up. If you have a question, just please raise your hand. Any questions on finding alliteration before I even set you off on your own? Do you feel pretty confident? Is it easy breezy? Yeah, I would probably just note it, just to, it always helps me, that way you're not unintentionally underlining it for alliteration.
What if it's like onomatopoeia words? Can it still be or alliteration?
Yeah. Alright, and once you're finished, go ahead and swap with someone next to you. And I want you to compare your responses and see whether or not you missed any. Maybe your partner missed one. Maybe you had some marked that aren't really alliteration. And if you do, talk about it with your partner and see, kind of justify it, see what they think. So once you finish, go ahead and swap papers. If you have 3 in a row, y'all will have to swap twice. Okay, to start, we're going to start with your journal. Remember the sound techniques that we saw yesterday in what drawing?
Bells.
Bells. How could you forget? And we saw techniques of onomatopoeia, which means what?
Sound noise.
Sounds.
Like
Uses
clang,
sounds to
clang,
represent
clang.
something.
Exactly, such as?
Bang,
Clang.
Boom.
Bang.
Exactly.
Clang.
And we saw a lot of repetition with what word? Alright, anyone still working with your partner? Okay, go ahead and return the papers back if you've not already. And we're just gonna go around the room and everyone read a line kind of until you see the end of a punctuation. Some of you are gonna have a little bit longer ones than others. But we'll start with Emma, if you could read the first 2 lines.
Hear the loud alarm bells, brazen bells, and we underline brazen bells.
Brazen and bells. Alright, good. Next line, Nikki.
What a tale of terror now their turbulency tells. And underline tale, terror, turbulency, and tells.
Very good. Next line, Tatiana.
In startled ear of night, how they scream out their fright. We didn't underline.
What?
Is it startled and scream?
Good. Yes, I think startled and scream there. All right, Connor. The next one.
Too much horrified to speak. They can only shriek, shriek.
Out of tune. We'll go ahead and end there. Yeah.
I speak and shriek.
Very good. All right, the next one. Go ahead. Yeah, no, right there is fine. Very good. All right, Randy, the next one.
Leaping higher, 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 like a desperate desire. Keep on going. Under result endeavor, now, to sit or never.
Okay, and what did you find there?
Desperate desire, higher, higher, and higher repetition.
So desperate desire, alliteration. What other alliteration is it?
I don't think so.
Did anybody find anything there? Anything?
Now to sit or never.
Right, now or never. Right, so now and never. All right, go answer first, just a second. Okay, Brian, the next one.
By the side of the pale-faced moon, oh, the bells, bells, bells. What a tale of terror that tells of despair. I underlined tail, terror, and tells.
Excellent, good. And the next one, Spencer?
How they clang, clash, and roar. I underline clang and clash.
Very good. All right, Christina, the next two lines?
What I hear the outdoor on the bosom of the pond, the taking air. I mean, anything.
Okay, good. And the next four lines, Katie?
Yet the ear fully knows by the twanging and the clanging how the danger ebbs and flows. And I didn't underline it.
Right, nothing there. All right, and Morgan?
Yet the ear distinctly tells and
Okay, what about the very next line?
how the danger sinks and swells by the sinking and the swelling in the anger of the bells. I did sink, swell, sinking, and swelling.
Very good. And then the last line, Kaylin.
And the clanging and the clanging of the bells. So clanging, clanging.
Okay, good. And I know there's some questions throughout, so Katie, what was yours?
I think it was for in a clamorous appealing to the mercy of the fire and a mad expostulation with the death and frantic fire. Is mercy and mad okay?
Mercy and mad, in the clamors appealing to the mercy of the fire, in a mad explanation. Yes, good. What was your question, Anna?
I got it.
Okay.
Oh, and the more,
Yes.
sorry. And, how the danger ebbs and flows, yet the ear distinctly tells. I wasn't for danger distinctly.
No.
I didn't think so, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Okay. For your homework tonight, you're gonna just do exactly what you did. You're gonna read stanza 4, starts at the bottom, goes over to the next page, and you're going to just underline using a colored pencil or a highlighter. You're gonna identify the use of alliteration by underlining the word, not the entire word, but just the first letter, the sound. This is due for you all, it says Wednesday, but I don't see you tomorrow, so it's due Thursday. This will be collected at the beginning of class and graded as a homework grade. And if you look, this is the rubric I'm using to grade it. So how many of you guys, wait 1 second, how many of you guys got all of them? How many of you missed less than 3? Okay, good. Anybody get them all right, 100%? Okay, so if you get all of them right, it's 100. Less than 3 is still good, but if you miss more than 3, then you still need to work on your skill.